Public comment, did we have anybody,
No.
do we have anybody with, like to speak in public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, then we will move on to our highlighted youth, which is our career research projects by our elementary students and our elementary counselor, Alyssa Fritchie. Welcome.
Amazing. Thank you. I was telling Howard that the last time that I was here, I was 3 days away from giving birth. And I was asking for your support in adding an additional school counselor to elementary school. And I want to formally thank you for allowing that to happen because it has been life-changing. So I think it's perfect that I got to come here tonight and show you some of the things that we're able to do with an additional counselor. I did a brand new lesson with my fourth graders using the Chromebooks, doing some career research projects. So they worked super hard on these. I have 5 students ready to present those to you tonight. They're a little nervous, so go easy on them. I could have chosen so many more, but I'm excited for them to share these with you.
I'm Addison Copel, and I want to be a biomedical engineer. Job description: design biomedical devices, artificial joints, and internal organs. Install, adjust, repair, and maintain technical biomedical equipment. Train and teach how to use biomedical equipment. Education and training. You have to attend college for at least 4 years. Bachelor of Science Biomedical Engineering. Helpful skills. Have to complete school. Be good at math, science, and biology. Have a great imagination and creativity. Working conditions. 40 to 60 hours in a week. You usually work at manufacturing, hospitals, universities, and research facilities. Salary and other information. I'm not going to read this. Sources. Why? I like helping people, and this could help save someone's life. I like math and science. That's the end.
I'm Sophie and I want to be a pediatrician. What is a pediatrician? A medical doctor who cares for children under the age of 18. This doctor manages the health, both physical and mental, of children. Education and training. A pediatrician needs 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and 3 years of working in a hospital. You need a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a doctoral degree. Helpful skills. A pediatrician needs to be a good listener. A pediatrician needs to talk to children at each age level. A pediatrician needs to be very patient. A pediatrician needs to be able to communicate with parents well. Working conditions. Most pediatricians work in hospitals and need to be available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Pediatricians also work in clinics. Some pediatricians travel the world helping children. Salary and other information. Pediatricians working in the United States in a clinic typically make $205,000 per year. Pediatricians working in the United States in a hospital typically make $175,700 per year. Sources: Kiddo, Sweet Search, KidRex, Safe Search.
Hi, I'm Lincoln, and today we will be learning about scientists. save the world. Scientists help people in many ways by improving devices, cars, and more. Or they can make new atoms, fruits, new websites to help kids. The world you see now are because of scientists and their amazing brain. Scientist equals money. If scientists could make money to help people in many ways, to help many people and in so many ways. $75,420 per year and $36.26 per hour. Education and training. You need a bachelor's degree to be a scientist, but first, a bachelor's degree is 4 years of college. Working conditions. If you want to work, you need to work in a laboratory to work full time. We're excited. And yeah, this website right here. I can pronounce it. It's
I'm Joe Newsom and I want to be a marine biologist when I grow up. What is a marine biologist? A marine biologist is someone who studies all types of sea creatures and can choose to specialize in studying large ocean animals all the way down to small organisms. Everything from whales to the plankton we eat and everything else in between can be studied. They also can put on sea animal shows at zoos and at sea. Education and training. Marine biologists must complete at least a bachelor's degree, which takes about 4 years. Marine biologists who pursue master's degrees may take an additional 2 to 3 years to complete their education, and a PhD will take up to 6 years more. Helpful skills. A keen interest in research, excellent oral and written communication skills. An analytical mind and a logical approach to problem solving. Good observation skills, to be able to swim and scuba dive, to be able to work independently or as a part of a team. Working conditions. Marine biologists usually work in offices and laboratories. They may also work on boats or at sea. They usually work 8 hours a day in their office or field. Salary and other conditions. The average salary of a marine biologist per year is about $70,800. A marine biologist's salary typically starts at $39,700 and goes up to $124,680. Sources paged. I used all of these. I like that. I'm Tori Cozy and I want to be a teacher when I grow up. What is the teacher's job? The teacher's job is to help other people learn new things, help solve problems, clean up messes, decorate the classroom, maybe, smile to make other people smile, inspire other people. Teachers also do a lot more for their students too. Education and training. Bachelor's degree in education, student teaching. You need to go to college for 4 to 6 years to be a teacher. Helpful skills. Staying organized, communication skills, creativity, patience, resourcefulness, and physical stamina. Working conditions. Teachers work 5 days a week and 10 months a year. You would work in a school building. Salary and other information. Teachers get $55,800 a year.
sources.
Miss Bailey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. I want to thank all the students for their presentations. I guess the one thing I would comment on is don't get hung up on the salaries of the various jobs, because you're gonna be looking for a job that you really enjoy. If you don't have a job that you don't enjoy, then you don't aspire to work at it real hard, so. And we want you to enjoy your job in your future, because that's what makes life fun, so. Thank you for taking the time to present to the board, and I wanna thank you for the excellent job, so, thank you all.
Good job, guys.
I heard the hours aren't very good.
No,
You're a lawyer or
You work
superintendent.
snowplow driver, you work 10 months a year, 5 days a week.
Charter.
Okay. Thanks again for the students and parents for coming to that presentation. That was fun. Board always enjoys that. So, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our comments from our board superintendent, board members and superintendent. First off, we like to thank Kay for her many years of service. And we have a card and a plaque for you. I just thought we'd do a brief history.
Maybe we don't
Kay
want
was,
to do that.
well, just some of the events that have happened in the district while you've been here.
It's been a few.
Kay was elected to the board in a prior century.
1993. In that time, we have had 3 district administrators, we had 5 elementary school principals, we've had 3 middle school principals and 3 high school principals. Our student enrollment has grown from less than 900 students at the time to this month. We are now over 1,600, which is more than a 77% increase, which is unusual for the state of Wisconsin, because most schools are in declining enrollment situations. We've had 3 successful referenda of the 5 that we ran. In here, we've built a new high school since you've been here. We've remodeled the elementary school at least 3 times. Been through the fire. Had the remodeling at the middle school at least twice. And we've done additions onto the high school. First came on the board, they started the revenue limits, if I remember right. And we've gone through Act 10, which was passed in 2011. So that's a lot of changes over the years.
And a loaf of bread was a nickel.
So,
Yeah.
with that, I wanna thank you for your many years of service, you will be missed, and appreciate, bottom of my heart of all the hard work that you put in over the years.
Thank you.
So, have a little token of appreciation from the board and the district.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that's so cute.
Small, nice,
Look at
hard,
it. Look at
so.
that. I like it. Thank
Remember
you.
us and,
Picture.
I
here,
will.
here's a stranger.
Oh.
Here, get a picture.
Perfect.
That's
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if our board members have comments, like to share.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. There. Thank you.
been a ride.
It's been a ride.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is our oath of office, and we had a suggestion that maybe we read this verbally this year, each of the members. So, if everybody's agreeable?
Sure.
Val will stand. Says I, and state your name, Howard Krusky, having been duly elected or appointed to the office of St. Croix Central School Board of the state of Wisconsin, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you. We'll just have to get the signed copy back to Pam.
Can you witness it from there, Pam?
Oh, sure I can. Got it.
Okay, then our next item here, with that, taken care of. Update with a possible meeting with our newly elected Senator Patty Shockner. I've sent her a note inviting her, hopefully to attend our May 7th meeting. And I've yet to hear back from her, but I didn't get the note out till late, so I sent it to her office in Madison. I may, on my own, just give her a call. I've known Patty for over 25 years, 30 years, so, back in the EMS business, so. So, I will try and contact her and see if we can schedule that. And if not, we'll have to look at alternative dates. The other question I wanted to ask the board members is, that we'll usually invite our state assemblyman also. And I guess I'm looking at what you think are possible dates. If we go with what we had last year, we had a lot of business going on our board learning meeting in June. And I will probably not be there because I will be up at the Board of Control meeting in Turtle Lake that first Monday, the regular meeting. But also, we we're able to get them in the June regular board meeting. I don't know if there are other dates that we're looking at. I think we had trouble getting staff out here last year. We got him here thanks to Scott, so we'll give him all the credit on that. But I'd like to extend invitations. I guess I'm looking for suggestions on dates. Otherwise, I'll just pick some dates and see what their schedules look like.
Yeah, I would say our meetings are pretty much scheduled, so we should maybe be on their timetable.
Okay.
Our meetings.
Our meetings are scheduled, so we should put the feelers out to them, when can they come?
Yeah.
And work around them would be my suggestion, because we're,
On board meeting nights,
Yeah.
throw out all the options.
I would, that's what I would advocate.
I agree with that.
Okay, typically, we don't have a board learning meeting in July because we've got so much other stuff going on, so. Being 4th of July and, the budget, the annual meeting, et cetera, so. Okay, I will, reach out to the others then and, see what we come up with there. But hopefully we can get Patty here at our next meeting, so. Okay, we had one other request presented to me, was that part of our meeting agenda, there was a request that we would do the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know how the board feels about that, if there's a problem with that.
Who was the request by?
me.
Okay.
They've been doing it at CISA meetings, and I thought that was a good thing. We've got the flags, we have our students do it every day. But I just thought I'd throw it out there to start out the meeting with that.
Town of Hammond does it.
Town of Hammond, Village of Hammond,
No problem.
all the village board meetings, fire departments do it, so.
Just add it first thing on the agenda.
Yeah, we would open the meeting, call the roll, and, we'd probably do it after the, report of the, we'd do the roll call and then we would probably do the pledge of allegiance. That's okay.
Good.
Thanks for me. Yeah.
I didn't think it would be a big deal, but, before I just arbitrarily put it on, ask the rest of the board, so. Okay, we will take care of that then. The next item is a discussion on the, next steps regarding the standards-based assessment reporting. I know we reviewed that the last time. We were looking at possibility of, having the board commit to it or not commit to it, moving forward to the research, rather than let our administrators dangle in trees. Is this something that we wanna table for another couple of months and see what the rest of it comes down to, or do we wanna make a formal recommendation that we would move forward, with the process? And then, we can decide when we wanna implement.
I think we gotta move forward with it.
Help me understand the difference of the two options. I mean, are we moving forward with an option, so it's something not date certain? How's that different than tabling?
I think the discussion was that we could have something that's crafted that supports the continuing to move forward. That conceptually, we like things that are going on without saying, dictating that you start it tomorrow.
I guess the
People
issue-
are saying, board, you've already decided, and it's like, well, we've heard a lot, we came in neutral, and now I think the straw poll was that, yes, this is gonna be a good thing for kids, so we ought to say that. That was the notion, but I don't think we should just do motion second passed.
No, I
that we
think your
support.
idea of
I think having something
resolution
that's
or
written out that is carefully crafted.
Okay.
Cause we still have stuff to learn and figure out and.
I guess the reason for it is there seems to be some confusion with the public on the presentations, that the administrators are up there presenting this as this is the way we think we should move forward. These are the issues that we're dealing with. These are the answers that we've got, and these are the questions we still have, issues to work out. And then the board sits in the back of the room and saying, well, maybe yes, maybe no. And I think we've listened to this now for 6 or 8 months or more. And I think, we need to either say we're gonna continue to move forward with this with the support of the, board, or we're gonna just drop the whole thing. There's no reason dangling our administrators up
Agreed.
before there without the support that, is behind them. So, that's the reason for the discussion.
Can we have a piece of paper drafted before the next board meeting? I'd be happy to work on it with Tim or administrators, whoever, sort of what that indication of support is. That still acknowledges that we are still learning, and in terms of implementing, we aren't ready to implement in the middle school and high school. But we think conceptually it's good for kids.
and it's always going to be a work in progress.
Okay, is there anything else, comments from the board? 'Cause I've got one last thing I wanted to add.
I just think everything that they've put together so far and everything that they've presented to us so far, we'd be foolish to not support this, because it really does look like it's an excellent direction to go for the kids. So, I don't know why we wouldn't come out and say we support it.
Well, I know there seems to be some concern that we're out there, to harm the kids. No, we're not, you know, changes have happened before. Our biggest change is when we went from the 13-point grade scale in the high school to the 4-point. We found, you know, the mathematics just didn't work out, that our honor students were not getting recognized for scholarships and things because the system we were using was punishing our kids rather than rewarding them, and the board made the change. And I think it's worked out well. You know, we're not here to harm our children in any way. We're here to give them the biggest advantage we can, both academically and in life, so. With that.
Agreed.
Okay, one last thing I was going to mention, I had been at the SCC Board of Control meeting. We had a presentation there with Chautauqua Warehouser District. Last year, their board decided for the good of their students and the mental health of their students, they went out and hired a professional mental health interventionist, which was a little more training than a psychologist or a social worker, and in doing that, they made them part of the school district staff. So not only were they able to they're developing programs and have developed programs to help their students not only identify those that need help with various aspects of mental health and mental illness, but she was also qualified to treat those students. The advantage of putting them on the school staff was that they didn't have to deal with the insurance companies. That was paid for by the district. Right now, she is, they've identified and they have been helping a variety of students. She's working with about 40 or 50 students at the present time. She meets with them regularly, more often than you would with an outside therapist. And the program has been working very well. I bring this up because when we are talking about spending money on a resource officer versus somebody in mental health, this is something I think, in my opinion, though it's nice to have a resource officer, this to me would have a greater impact on our students than having a police officer. As friendly as they want to be, you know, and I love the police officers and law enforcement. Something like this, I think, would have a much more direct effect on the mental well-being of our students. And I will throw that out there as a possibility to consider when we're having these discussions.
With these certifications, how does their compensation line up with a teacher?
I am not
Higher pay than a teacher, I would guess.
I would have to ask the district on that, but I'm sure their compensation is in line with what we would expect of a school psychologist with advanced degrees. So she is certified and licensed as a mental health professional from the state of Wisconsin. So, and she is on staff. They treat only the students and families of the Chautauqua Warehouser School District.
I know at the state convention, Howard, one of the school districts, it was last year at the summer session, I think it was.
Yeah.
One of the school districts presented where they had a collaborative mental wellness program with a counseling provider and a service agency and the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a model for that. So directionally, I like how we're talking about investing in the mental health and mental well-being of our students. We heard that very clearly as emerging and flipping the model from Daggett and making sure that we had very strong mental health and mental health care for our students as they build relationships, and that's the piece that's gonna lead in the future. I think there's more than one option on how to get there. And what I would layer on is if we think it's important as a district to be investing more sincerely or deeply into this area, who's the right group of people to get together and look at what the range of options might be. It could be someone on staff, it could be a collaborative effort, there might be other options out there that none of us are aware of, so. How do we take that and, let's bring a solution, but understand what are we hoping to achieve and what are the options that could help us accomplish that?
And I just wanna throw this out as an option in the mix, so. And since there are probably not more than one or two districts in the entire state of Wisconsin, that are doing something like this, it's almost like a pilot program. They're having to write their own rules as they go. But they've gone through a screening process with all the students. They may find some, that need some partial help, short-term help. They may have some students that have some much more needed services, so all of that is all taken into consideration, and it is all done with the permission of the parents, so.
Do they have to do like, permission, sign releases or any extra steps with that? Consider
They have, in
medical?
order for them to, they would identify and then they would present their findings with the parents. And if the parents chose to move forward with this, then they would give a signed permission with this. This isn't something that can be done without parental consent. And since they're a mandatory reporter, if there were any issues of abuse or anything, then they would have to be reported to the social services agencies, law enforcement, so. They're gonna be controlled by the same laws as any of our teachers, first responders, firefighters, law enforcement. But the treatment phase cannot take place without the permission of the parents, so. And there are some parents that refuse, so that's their option, that's their choice, so.
So as you're sharing this, Howard, are you asking the board to do something specifically? Are you asking administrators to, as we look at budgets and models, how are we
I am
investing?
presenting this as an option, if this is something that, I know we were looking at monies for a school resource officer. They were moving forward with applications of the grants. If this is something that we are going to look forward to spending money in something like a resource officer, let's look at other options also.
So the funding on this would be fully district funded, and the funding on a resource officer would be at least partially grant funded, likely, correct?
Short term.
But,
And we don't know what's out here with the new investment in mental wellness.
right.
Yeah.
Partnerships.
So the other question I would have on this is, if you have students with insurance, can you bill their insurance and help defray your costs by having it be paid as a provider service?
I think we just have to understand what options.
It would be an option. The problem with that, when I talked with the members of the Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser School District, that to file the paperwork with the insurance companies was gonna take almost 40% of that person's time just to fill out the paper.
If you're using that person.
And so therefore,
I think we have to, if it's
It's an
important, I think let's vet the options and know the pros and cons and the value.
no, I'm not proposing we move forward with this, I'm just presenting it as information. So it's something else to consider. So. Okay, are there any other items for comments or discussion? Okay, then we will move on to our next presentation, which is from our Central Basketball Association, a report by Mr. Lopez, Ms. Meyer, and Mr. Shattuck, so. Welcome.
Alright, thank you.
You realize you have a football shirt on.
Mark, if you want, that can go higher too, there's a little
I
push
talk
button.
pretty loud, I'm afraid I
Okay.
talk too loud, so, is it okay? You hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Alright, I'll stay with that. So anyway, thank you for the opportunity to be here. First time I've done this from the Central Basketball Association's perspective, it's been suggested in the past, and just wanna take the opportunity to share some of the information with you. Some of the things that we do, I've been involved with it for quite a few years, both coaching and then also, as a president of Central Basketball. Josh Paddock is our, vice president, and Jen Meyer is our administrative person who takes care of, she does all the work really. And she does all the stuff, you know, just everything on the registrations and all those types of things, so. Jenny couldn't be here tonight, she's going to be, but she had a family thing come up. So just a couple, quick things here, I don't have a lot, but I just wanna share some things with you. 208 registered people is what we had last year, registered kids. Of that group, we have 34 coaches from, 3rd grade up to 8th grade, both boys and girls. And everybody in our group is volunteer. Of that group, I mean, we have various, groups obviously. This is 3rd through 8th. We also do a little dribblers program with 1st and 2nd grade, so our program really is 1st grade up through 8th grade. A big part of our program is that we are self-sufficient. We do a butter break fundraiser to help, to keep our fees low. Our fees are $30 for kids to play, which in this area is very, very low, if anybody knows that. If you're from other school districts, some are paying $75, $80, some pay $200 or $300. So it really is, an awesome deal. We take pride in that. That's why we do what we do, because we really enjoy, what we can do for the kids at a really low cost. Some of the other things that we do with our group, I mentioned the little dribblers, we had 97 participants this year with 1st and 2nd graders, and that, every year it's like somewhere between 80 and 100 kids, that's what we normally have. We started that program, my second daughter was a 2nd grader, I believe, so I don't remember, it's been a long time. So we've been doing that every year for a long time, quite a few years, so. Awesome program, kids love it, it helps, kind of get us out there and who we are, and I think it helps us get volunteers for coaches and those types of things too. Scholarships, we've been doing scholarships for, oops, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Another thing we do a sharpshooters program for our 4th through 8th graders. That's for kids to just get out shooting during the summer. And then, we also do an open gym through the winter time. A lot of kids, a lot of times are, not much to do in the winter time, and, thanks to administration, a lot of you guys, we got, keys a few years back, and to Greg Green too, to be able to open a gym and supervise on Sundays. We get 50 to 60 kids coming into the gyms, or into the high school gym on Sunday, and it's amazing. So it's pretty awesome to see that participation. Okay, then I wanna jump into, a big part of it for me, it really makes it worthwhile. A lot of the donations of things that we do as our group, to me, it's very unique, and I really enjoy that. The scholarships we offer, this is our 5th year, we do 2 $500 scholarships, to a high school senior who played basketball. And that money comes from donated funding, so that's not something that our program, pays for, but that's through donations. Another one we do, is the, I'm sorry, I jumped around there a little bit. 3-on-3 tournaments, we started last fall. The Hammond, Carnival in the fall, we started that. And we had, donated, proceeds, all of that, to the senior all-night party. And then we're doing another one in June here for Good Neighbor Days. We're hoping to make this an annual event. And this money is going to go to the high school boys and girls basketball program. So they're gonna be a big part of helping run the tournament and those types of things, all the work that goes into it. The other thing we've done is, Yeah, third and fourth grade have non-competitive tournaments, and we have a concession, Grace Meyer sells concessions there, and there are a few other people that have helped out with that too, but Grace is one that kinda got that going. And the money that she's made just selling basic things is $496, and she's donating that to the food shelf. And then also at our fourth grade tournaments, fourth grade is something that we've added, it's been a few years now, but our league, they don't have enough hosts sometimes for fourth grade. And for us, it's really nice because we can host and kids or parents don't have to travel. So it works well. Quite honestly, we do it just for that reason. So what we do is we offer the opportunity for people, instead of paying admission, they can bring in a food item and they get in free. And what we've learned has happened is people wanna give, so they give money and food, and tend to give more money, honestly. $1,200 to raise this year for this is just the admission part, and we've donated that to the food shelf, and then 320 pounds of food also. So it's pretty awesome. That also is in the newsletter, so you've seen some of that stuff, but I just wanted to make note of that. Other things we've donated basketballs and racks to the middle school and high school. And that's, it's nice too for us to be able to use it on Sundays. We go in there for open gym, we have good basketballs. We kinda started that out. The basketballs were in poor condition, so we helped that out, so that was kind of the driver behind that. And I think that's all I have to talk about here. I look around the room and I see a lot of people who have been involved with CBA, some still are, and it's just, it's an awesome organization, I think. It isn't because of me or Josh or Jenny. We continue what has been set in place for a lot of years, and I tell a lot of people that. And, our coaches are pretty heavily involved, and like I say, they are volunteers, so we to me have some awesome coaches, a great way for everybody to get together and give back to the community, so. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark, are
Keep-
things,
keep it up.
just a quick question, so as far as scheduling, as far as relationships, I see CBA is really a strong feeder program, so as the younger kids get involved in their athletics and have great experiences with it, that's really feeds in the middle school and the high school experiences as well. Can you just give us a quick thumbprint on the strength of the relationship between the district and CBA? Are things going well, or if there's one or two things that you would like to challenge us to think about? Are there any specifics that can help us do it better?
Nothing specific. Do you have anything, Josh? No, I will say that I think the relationship has greatly improved. I feel real confident talking to a lot of the administration here and school board members about different things, but the support over the past probably 4 or 5 years, like I say, getting keys into the gym, the trust to be able to do that has been awesome. It's been a big part of that, I think.
Yeah.
Especially, we first started open gyms, I would have to have a coach or somebody come and open that gym for me, and then I could sit there and supervise. And, it's fine, it worked out, but then, somebody's got something going on, and I gotta find somebody else, and it was always a struggle. And then that first year, I believe it was probably 5 years ago, when we first got a key to get in there, it was pretty awesome to do. I mean, I like the idea that there are cameras in the hallway, because, for me, when I'm in charge there, and you can't be everywhere, you guys all know that too, and it's nice to know that, if there's older kids in there, high school kids that you don't necessarily, you're not necessarily keeping an eye on, but they're in there too, so it's nice to know that helps though, so. But the trust, us being able to have that, I do appreciate that, it's awesome.
Great. Thank you.
I guess the question that I would have for you, Mark, is more on the insurance liability, question. Is that something that the association carries themselves, or are they under the school's umbrella, or how does that work?
Under the school.
Okay. Okay.
And a lot of times there are, and I hope that improves too, and gets better with our high school coaches getting more involved with that. But there are many times where the high school coaches come there and run clinics and skills and drills throughout the open gyms on Sunday you're referring to. We've had that kind of thing where they come there and run different stuff like that, and I
Well,
look for
it's a
that.
question because you're running your tournaments and things like that
Yeah,
and
we always have.
anything under the school, and school buildings. We just wanna make sure that we've got,
Our tournaments that we
string
run,
everybody
all
out.
of the kids that are part of, under the GMBL, the Great Northwest Basketball League, they play under those rules. And they
Okay.
have to sign a form releasing liability and those types of things, so there's not, the kids that come and our own kids that play there are not, that does not fall under the school's liability.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
as far as tournaments and things like that we host.
And I know we had a lot of discussion as far as monies of the different associations, being run through the school.
Well, that was more
Things like
around the
that.
boosters, that was more around, do we wanna do booster funding to the school? I don't think it ever went into the recreational
Okay.
pieces. I know that, like, for example, when we rewrote the, kitchen policy, the kitchen use policy, that then I think you also invested in some, was that you or wrestling? Someone invested in the coolers for the
Yeah,
beverages
we
and
actually
such.
got Premium Waters to donate that cooler that is at the high school and the middle school.
And
That allowed
now
me
that
to-
is getting used by the school for the school concession stands too. So, there's been lots of things that have been given to the school, but, the CBA, I don't think was ever part of that discussion about should it be run through the school, but when we brought it up 5 years ago, it was boosters at that
I'm
point.
just trying to get it clear in my mind. 'Cause, I think it's a good program. I very much want it to be, in cooperation with the school because they are the feeder program for our future ball players. And so, I wanna make sure that our coaches are having interactions with the association itself because they're gonna be the key to
Yep.
getting the players, trained up to where they will, exceed, their abilities hopefully in the future, so.
Good stuff. Thanks, Mark.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, John.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, is our financial reports, from our treasurer.
Bank account balances as of March 31st, 2018. Citizen state checking, $723,854.25. Citizens money market, $2,565,210.76. Citizens money market fund 46, $50.71. Citizens money market suicide prevention fund, $17,297.90. American Deposit Management referendum proceeds, $205,113.17 for total bank account balances of $3,511,526.79.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have motion, David, second K to approve the treasurer's report as presented. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is, pull this out, because we had some changes here. Okay. Consent agenda consists of, meeting minutes for our staff and, support staff confer meeting on March 14th. Wage and benefit meeting on March 19th, our SCC school board meeting of March 19th. Our community, discussion regarding standards-based assessment and reporting of March 20th. Our SCC board, learning, meeting minutes from April 4th. Approval of the bi-monthly bills, approval of retirement and resignations of, Pete Clausen's, our .25 FTE bus driver, Natalie Holter as an assistant POM dance coach. Approval of appointments and contract modifications, Ariana Weyerbauer, as a full-time middle school, high school German teacher, Leah Feiereisen as a full-time 4K teacher. Courtney Schaff is a full-time 4K teacher. Mitchell Klimek is a full-time high school science teacher. Bree Holden as assistant cheerleader coach, and Ty Ketz as the girls varsity basketball coach. So,
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
a motion Kirk, second John, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to our student enrollment update.
Again, just wanna start out by thanking Pam and all the assistants in the office that work on this report. He's mentioned a couple times, we had a discussion about a year ago saying, should we continue this or not? And I think Pam advocated like, yeah, this is really helpful. Well, since then, they just find themselves using it more and more, and it really helps them monthly sit down and walk through virtually every student, especially the ones that are unique situations. And because there's enrollment procedure now is so in flux with being able to move in and out, and might be living in one district and open enrolled to the other district, but then come into our district. And so anyway, this really helps them. They keep adding more and more information, like Scott asked about this column on the right, our student enrollment over the years. That's really informational. So as far as I know, we're the only district that does anything like this. Maybe David started it, but it's a really good tool. It's very helpful. Spend a lot of time on it, but it pays dividends. And then, as you know, our entire funding is based on these things and these numbers, and it has to be accurate. So thank you again to all the staff that work on this monthly. So as I think Scott pointed out before the meeting, and Howard mentioned already once, we're over 1,600 students for the first time ever in seats. And you can see our third Friday count, which is a mix of many different things. At the beginning of this year was 1,593, but yeah, we're over 1,600 now for the first time. We're up 6 just since last month. Our free and reduced lunch numbers stay pretty steady in the 17th percentile range. And then a couple things to point out: our open enrollment gap to the positive continues to grow. We're up to 114 in versus out. And again, a large part of that is our virtual charter school. It was just about to hit the century mark. It's at 99. And I'm guessing by the end of the week we'll be over 100 if it follows the weekly trends. That's all I have.
Okay. Questions, comments? Thank you, Tim. It's a good thing that we're still a growing district. Many districts are not that fortunate. So, moving on to the next item. It's our staff, student, and community recognition. You wanna go through those, John?
Yes.
Thank you.
A thank you to Alicia Benzer. Thank you for all of your dedicated efforts in preparing yet another successful STEM night for SCC. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. A thank you to Corey Bonte and Dawn DeSmith with the Hammond Lions Club. On behalf of our district and community, we would like to thank you for your generous donation of the book, Wonder to All, of the 4th grade students. You have shown great support in teaching our children the importance of acceptance. A thank you to Jessica Stanton. Thank you for all of her efforts in planning a successful 4K registration. And additionally to Amy Rude, Amy Gaffner, Amy Lundgren, and Heather Wester, thanking them for the time to be part of that 4K registration as well. Finally, a thank you to Jack and Diane Thomas. Thank you for their donation of $1,000 to the elementary school to help students with negative lunch account balances. So those are the board thank yous up to staff and community members for this month.
I want to mention I had the pleasure of meeting Jack and Diane. Just another note, they moved to Hammond 2 years ago, and their granddaughter was in a neighboring school district.
and I was really struggling, and they were very complimentary of our school district. Since she's been at SCC Elementary, she's really blossomed, they said, and she just loves school there and is doing work very well. And Jack also donates his time helping out the trap team and middle school STEM. They just love to help out.
Thank you all. Actions like that make us a stronger community, so thank you for that. Is there anything else we need on that item? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is our discussion regarding our new board member orientation. This is one of the things that continually popped up on our board surveys over the last 3 or 4 years. We kind of put it off because we didn't have any new board members. Well, the situation has changed. So, I guess what we would be looking for are some of the things that we would need to get Tricia up to speed quickest. One of the things that I guess I would have Tim take care of is to get her a copy of the KeyWorks school board. KeyWorks, Tricia, is one of the books that we use as a board to try and focus our efforts on running the school district and keep our focus on the things that are important to the functioning district. Try and keep the board focused on not micromanaging the policies and operations of our district, but try and keep us focused on the higher level, moving the district forward. It's an excellent book. It's put forth by the National School Boards Association, and it's been very helpful to this board, trying to keep the meetings focused on the things that are important, so.
So Howard, I wrote down 3 things. One is that WASB does offer the new board orientation overview, so I would think that that's a great thing to
And that is
participate.
tomorrow night,
Okay.
and I guess I was going to talk to Trish on that, and maybe we can carpool down to Durant tomorrow night.
The second one is that Kay, you have served on Wage and Benefit Committee as well as some other things, so is this the right time for us to look at all of our board committees and see if there's any movement that we wanna do? Because, you know, some of us have been sitting on the same committees for at least a few years, each of us, and is this the right time to review that, rather than just say, you know, where Kay was, Trish has to go, there might be a different interest. So committee assignments may be worthwhile, and review that. And then the last one, David, you probably didn't need one, but 13 years ago when I started, I felt it was important that I had a board mentor because I was fairly new to the district, and I know Jeff and I had conversations every couple of weeks. It was a great place to ask the question or gain some insights or understand a policy, et cetera. And so I would recommend that at least one of us volunteers to be a board mentor for Tricia as well.
I could fill in for that. I'm supposed to be a peer mentor for WASBs.
As we'll practice on us.
You guys have been a good experiment.
Oh, yeah.
We just seen you practice on somebody else. This is game day here.
Yeah. Right.
So,
And back in the Stone Age, we got a a board handbook. I'm sure everything is online, but we should have a discussion about what materials would be appropriate to be.
well, I think the important thing is to show her where the policies are, where the meeting minutes are. I think she's probably familiar with a lot of that from the district website. We wanna give her an option of who to contact, if she has questions.
As long as there's no hazing.
No hazing.
There's no hazing, you're just automatically assigned to the, policies committee. that has to-
Yeah.
There you go, that'll take care of it.
Everyone you guys.
And there will be a large sign during homecoming in John's yard redirecting every
Yeah,
toilet
Roger's house.
to your house as the new board member.
I think it would be helpful, I think there should be a one-on-one with Tim, you know, to just kind of talk about your philosophies and what have you. I think they should be a one-on-one with Jen about budget and finance and the situation with that stuff. And then, I certainly would be open to it, but I think it'd be helpful for you to talk to each one of us, cause we each have different perspectives and I certainly would take a call anytime and,
And I think that goes without saying, that
yeah.
whoever you're most comfortable with or most want a perspective from, feel free to contact at any time, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we're trying to be an open board here and, you know, things that are on people's mind.
You just can't conference call four of us at the same time.
Yeah,
Unless it's properly notified.
Do you wanna put something on the agenda for next board learning, to dive into this deeper, and of course I would ask Trish what
What do you
you
need?
would like or need as well. You don't
Well,
know,
it's,
doesn't know what to ask
what you
yet.
don't know,
Give
yeah.
her a minute.
It's all brand new, so.
well, I think the important thing is to know what the open meeting law is and isn't.
Yeah, the policies, like the book and the policies is kind of what, I should kind of look into that stuff first. And make sure I know
I'm ordering it right now.
What's the agenda for that other, so would we have 30 minutes that we can, just dedicate, or
I think
20
so.
minutes or
We
something?
haven't started on it yet, have we?
No, well, you talked
Well,
about Patty coming.
Patty, is she gonna come?
I
That
don't
you
know yet.
Mhm.
I gotta get a hold of her.
That would be the only thing that takes up
No,
time.
I've sent it to her office in Madison. I may contact her personally, since, she's not that far over away in summer.
Yeah, she's not that far away.
So. Who knows, I might even bump into her in a coffee shop somewhere, so. But I will try and get a hold of
Maybe
her,
20
find out
minutes.
if it fits into her schedule, cause I know her
We can
schedule's
just go a
got
little deeper.
quite a bit.
I think too, Bill and I will talk tomorrow.
Pardon?
We will, you and I will talk tomorrow for
Yeah.
John somewhere and
Right.
have that.
If you don't mind riding down my pickup, so.
Yeah.
You know, all the policies are
So-
responsible.
Windshield time's off at the time to talk. You don't get interrupted by anything.
Yeah, we gotta get.
If you're good, he'll let you ride in the front on the way home.
No hazing stuff.
That is,
That's called
it's
parenting.
orientation.
This meeting is being recorded.
Durand has been a good host for this, and,
They might now.
you'll be introduced to Bill Yank Senior, who is our WASB District 4 representative, so. Bill's a good guy. Wonder about his son sometimes, but give him a hard time. His son is the superintendent for the Colfax School District. We'll try and make some connections down there and introduce him. It'll be a good time. And then I'll talk to you later and we'll set up a meeting time. I think the meeting starts at 7. So. Okay. Is there anything else we need to discuss on that? Otherwise, we can talk about it next meeting. If he's there, and we'll try and get a list of things for Trish to get up to speed on as quickly as we can. It's, as you all know, it's kind of overwhelming at the beginning, but you all caught on to it, so she'll do the same.
I'm almost up to speed.
I was just gonna say, after 13 years, I'm getting there.
I'm still clueless.
I don't think so.
I was waiting for David to jump all over that one.
Okay, then we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to designate a board member or board members to hand out diplomas at the graduation ceremony. I think you all have sheets in front of you to sign up for high school graduation, who is attending and who is not. If you can fill that out, give it back to Pam. But I guess we're looking for volunteers to hand out diplomas, and I guess,
I'd like to hand out, I'd like to give one to my goddaughters.
okay,
I'm willing to, I love handing out the
Okay.
diplomas.
I'm gonna be out of town, I'm gonna opt out this year.
okay, well, I can, fill in as a third, if need be, so.
John and I have dances.
We have
Did you get all them, Pam?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you
Kirk,
John
John,
and I are.
Howard.
I haven't done it for a few years.
Howard,
I don't know if you're interested, Trish?
I'm on the Washington DC trip, so as
Okay.
I was asking Peter, like Tim's son is going.
I don't
to-
think they come back till that
I don't know if they'll
Saturday,
be back.
Okay,
Saturday morning, correct?
And the
I'm
24th or
not for
5th.
sure yet.
25th
Her
is a
meeting's Monday.
Friday, I thought they come back that 26th in that morning.
Yeah.
That Saturday morning.
well, I hope you have good weather. Last time I was there at Port
I
May.
for sure plan on attending but I just,
Okay.
you know.
Okay,
Just don't let
So-
my brother talk that long.
okay, so Kirk, John, and myself will be there. I'll just have to inform my wife, she's going this year. So. Okay, then we will move on to the next item, which is to appoint a representative for the 2018 CISA 11 annual convention.
That was the fastest motion ever made.
Okay,
How by the
the
rules?
meeting is scheduled for June 4th, which will be the same day as our board learning meeting.
I know,
So
that's why now.
Kirk will have to run that meeting then.
That's why
So
the
it's
nomination.
a double bonus.
I'll stack the agenda up.
That's what you did last time. No, not last time.
Twice. Table,
So-
table.
Okay,
That's how I got back at him last time. We tabled half of it.
Would you like to attend, Howard?
I
You
was
said
planning-
earlier that you were planning on going, so.
yeah, well, I've gotta go there for the Board of Control meeting. We moved that from Thursday to that Monday, so I will be there anyways. So I will accept it, I guess. Thank you, I think.
No, thank you.
Okay,
That was done with the utmost vote of confidence in your ability to represent us at that meeting.
That's right.
Just thought I'd clarify that.
yeah, right.
And I'll sling whatever he's throwing around too.
Okay, then we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our second reading of our board policies, starting with 543.1, which is criminal background checks for support staff. I think the only change there was cross-reference to the handbook.
Yeah.
We have the same situation with 543.2, the nepotism for support staff. 545, which has to do with support staff assignments and transfers. Support staff work schedule. Work schedule is 545.1, again referencing the SCC employee handbook section. I would entertain a motion to approve those policies as presented at this time.
So moved.
Second.
A motion Kirk, second David, to adopt policies 543.1, 543.2, 545, and 545.1 at this time. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we will move on to the next one, which is 546.3 with regards to termination of support staff. We had some additions or changes in the language from the first reading, which was the addition of employees will be given written notice of termination as soon as possible based on the nature of the circumstances. The district cannot arbitrarily or cannot be arbitrary or capricious in the event that employee is terminated and the employee has overused holiday, sick or vacation time earned. The employee will have that amount equal to the value of the overused leave withheld from his or her last paycheck. So, with that, is there any other discussion on that policy with the addition of that language? I know there was some concern about it.
So I thought about it more afterwards, and one of the things that it said was that they'll be given 2 weeks' notice, and this is fine, but in the event that it were not a for cause termination, 2 weeks' notice would be, that if it's the ending of a job or it's budgetary reasons or whatever, that I don't know if that should or shouldn't be included in here, but I'm sure that's why it was originally. 2 weeks' notice for termination of a job,
Yeah.
and no notice for termination for cause, so it,
I was thinking the reduction in force might have covered that, the next one, but it does give 30 days notice for reduction in support staff.
okay, so I don't think they'd be terminated on a 2 week notice, it'd be a reduction of force notice, unless it were for cause, so this is okay.
I think so,
Okay.
because
I think so
for any
too.
other reason. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so is that wording sufficient?
I think so.
Okay, if everybody's in agreement, then I would entertain a motion to adopt 546.3 termination of support staff.
Move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, Jeff, second Kay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next policy is 546.4, reduction in support staff workforce. The only additions that we had to that was as defined by the SCC employee handbook.
We took out those job categories and just added and replaced that with that phrase.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections to that one? Okay, then we move on to the next policy would be 549.3 support staff furloughs.
Actually, work staff too.
Work stoppage, 49.2.
Okay, I missed one, okay. Okay, support staff, work stoppages, any problems there? We just cross-referenced the employee handbook. 549.3 support staff furloughs. We added in section B, employees are prohibited from working for the district. Okay, if they've been furloughed, then they're not going to work for the district in any capacity. Essentially what that is until the furlough is over. Okay. Okay,
Move approval of, whatever was the last three.
Second.
okay. We have motion and a motion, Jeff, second, Scott, to approve the last policies, which are reduction in support staff workforce, 546.4, policy 549.2, support staff work stoppages, and 549.3, support staff furloughs. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of those policies signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we move into the consideration of first reading board policies, starting with 363.2 internet safety and acceptable use policy. Any questions or comments there?
There's no consequence for unacceptable uses stated in the policy that I see, is that correct? So we should say that unacceptable use may result in.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have to be somewhat generic, I think. As to the consequences.
We'll send it back to the authors.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments with
This is just clarifying, so this policy relates to both students and district employees, is that correct? And then up in that first, it's only the students and their parents must first read and sign the following acceptable use policy. So does that assume that all others, by being an employee of the district, automatically acknowledge and accept this policy?
I believe that this one is in the 300s, which is students, and 500 deals with personnel. So I think we haven't gotten to them yet, the internet one for the staff. So I'm thinking that's what it is.
Okay, so then I'm just wondering if, for clarity, if this is for student only, why would we reference staff in it? This will provide students and staff with access to a variety of resources. If we're having a internet safety and acceptable use policy under district employees, then do we want to limit this language to student only?
Right. We'll work on that with.
Cause it's just the body of it, it feels like it's all either general or student related.
Right.
And I just was confused if we're addressing the entirety of anyone on our network.
Like Pam said, I think the two are separate, but then yes, we should take staff out of that opening paragraph. And just have this one relate to students.
Even though it's within the 300s, maybe it should be titled Internet Safety and Acceptable Student.
Right.
For student, yeah.
Student internet safety and acceptable use.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Always appreciate the input.
Okay, any other questions or comments on 363.2? Okay, we'll note the changes and it will stand approved as first reading. Move on to the next item is 363.3 is assistive technology. Questions or comments with regards to that policy?
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Okay, and this is mainly assistive technology is going to refer to devices only, as I understand this policy. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, this one will stand approved as first reading. Next policy is 364 with regards to guidance and counseling programs. Any questions with regards to this?
Just a reminder, the third paragraph needs a period at the end of it.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I know at the committee for the academic standards, K-12, I know this was one of the items that came up for discussion were standards, academic standards for counseling. And whether the committee would recommend to this state superintendent to write a new set of standards or update the standards that existed. And I think the consensus of the committee was to go away from writing standards and set up core competencies, areas of core competency for guidance counselors rather than academic standards, since they were not formally teaching classes. They're teaching, but they're not formally teaching students in a classroom such as teachers. So that was a recommendation to the state superintendent, and it'll be up to him to decide whether he wants to follow it through with the recommendation of the committee or not. So I don't know if there's comments from any of our administrators on that or not.
Well, I know, we have counselors teaching every day at the middle school. We have Mr. Jardine teaching healthy choices all through seventh grade, and Kat teaching fifth grade every day, and I know at the elementary we do too.
Okay.
We see them as valuable teachers in the building.
That'll be something to consider, so. Okay, is there anything else on the guidance counseling programs? Otherwise, this will stand approved as the first reading. Next policy is 548 on support staff evaluations. Is there anything?
Yeah, I just found this one to be very vague, and specifically, and I'm thinking about this from a perspective of engagement. So the frequency of evaluation should be established at the discretion of the district. Who is the district? Is it the district administrator? Is it building principal? Is it we as a board? Is there a minimum standard at least annually? I just found that to be very vague, and that was used throughout. It says the district in the last paragraph shall have the sole right to determine whether or not an employee shall be evaluated by which supervisory personnel. I'm okay with thinking about our support staff having different evaluators because of where they may be working within the district. But I just found the use of the phrase district to be vague and not specific to a role.
We do them annually, right, Pam?
Tim should determine it.
Support staff is every year.
So we should at least say that, and I would say certainly, I don't know anybody that isn't a supervisor that does the evaluation, so why we would determine anything different other than, it's gonna be the supervisor.
And it does take in that we're open to input if they're instructional assistant or.
Yeah.
So you'll clean that up?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think where'd we start with this one, Pam? Was it out of the employee handbook?
That's a handbook.
Yeah.
And do we evaluate every support staff at least annually?
Every, oh yeah,
every
Pam keeps a spreadsheet.
Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Bus driver, custodian, housekeeping, everyone.
Yep. And, yep, Pam leads that, reminds us.
Very nicely put.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's a way to be more clear without being overly prescriptive.
Okay. So we wanna put in a few more specifics into who in the district and make sure that state the frequency and
Yeah.
who's gonna be doing that. So,
Okay.
okay, is there anything else on that? Otherwise, that will stand approved as the first reading, policy 548. Okay. And we will go into other business, which is save the dates. I believe we start off with the staff appreciation breakfast, which is May 9th, Wednesday, starting at 7:15 a.m. We'll have breakfast delivered at each of the buildings. I don't know who will be able to attend that. I usually try and make as many of those as I can. If anybody else can make it to any of the buildings, it helps spread the load a little bit. So I try and make it, but most of the time I'm late for some of the others because I get hung up on some of the others. So, but starts at 7:15, and we try and make it over to each of the buildings, including the bus garage. So
Meeting that morning.
okay. So if anybody else,
I can commit to being at one of the buildings, preferably one of the Hammond buildings,
okay, pick one.
middle school.
Okay. Okay, cause I will hit the elementary and I'll probably try to hit high school. And then
I'll go to the
usually
bus
it's-
garage.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, appreciate the efforts there. Then we have the staff recognition and retirement event, which
Just, is the bus garage gonna start earlier than 7:15?
5:30.
I think they typically do it after they return from their routes.
8 o'clock.
usually it's about 8:15 or 8:15.
Yeah, lucked out. I think the bus goes down the road by our place at 6:30 AM.
Well, yeah, they're showing up at 6 AM.
Okay, any other questions with regards to the night? Okay, the next item is the staff recognition and retirement event, which is scheduled Friday, May 18th.
This is replacing the evening
Yeah, Pheasant
at
Hills.
Pheasant Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm out of town that day.
Okay, I guess the question I have, want board members to show up at the 12:30 or looking at sometime later, 2 o'clock, I guess I'm looking for clarification on that.
It's totally up to you, I guess, if you wanna have a nice lunch catered by Panther Catering, come at 12:30. Otherwise, there's really just a half-hour wellness activity, which is a variety of, the staff has the choice, so.
Okay.
Choose to participate or not, or just visit and.
Okay.
Something new, I guess I'll let the little secret out of the bag, starting attendance, perfect attendance, recognition rewards as well. I had mentioned that Michaela in our office was doing the certificates and doing the research, so, I wish I would've started this 5 years ago when I started and, you think it's possible to go back? Oh, yeah, so she worked on it with other folks in the district office, so yeah, we'll catch up with 5 years of perfect attendance and 1 day. If you missed 1 day, also you're gonna get a certificate for that.
In 5 years?
No, 1 day per year. But there are multiple, you'll see there's a pattern, there's like, people that have got 3 years worth, of either perfect or 1 day, so it's pretty neat. So I think that'll help with our whole attendance, the importance of attendance and employee engagement and it's pretty rare. It takes, a lot of luck and a lot of dedication, kind of a combination of both. There's a lot of reasons you can miss, so you gotta be lucky too, but, it's pretty special, so I'm excited to be able to share that starting this year.
Okay. And then we have the graduation ceremony, which is on the 25th at 7:30. And that'll be at the high school gymnasium. Okay. I asked the man in charge.
Big show.
Okay. Okay, should be a good event. So, is there anything else that I'm missing on, save the dates at this point? Okay, hearing none, then we will move on to our important dates that are upcoming. We've got our board learning meeting on May 7th, 6:30 here at the district office. May 9th, as we stated earlier, will be the staff appreciation breakfast. Starting at 7:15 in each building. May 9th is also the CISA 11 sponsoring a WASB spring workshop with regards to legal roles and responsibilities for school boards, starting at 6 p.m. at Turtle Lake. We'll have the attorneys from WASB will be up at Turtle Lake giving a presentation on some of the new legislation and answer any questions of legal roles and responsibilities of board members. It's usually a pretty good event. So anybody that's interested.
I have that down as attending, so I don't know if you registered me yet or not.
Okay.
I'll go to that.
Anybody interested, get a hold of Pam and she can get us registered then. Next is, as we mentioned earlier, the staff recognition on May 18th. May 21st is our next regularly scheduled board meeting, starting on May 21st, 7 o'clock here in this office. This is usually our board reorganization meeting. May 25th is our graduation ceremony, 7:30 at the high school gym. Is there any dates that I missed this time? Yes?
April 23rd, we have teacher meet and confer.
Okay.
I can't remember what time it's at.
3:45.
3:45?
Okay. Okay. Are there any other dates that I've missed? Okay. Then, at this time, I will entertain a motion to convene into closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 119.85 1F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or investigation of charges against specific persons, except where paragraph B applies, which if discussed in public would likely have an substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations. This has to do with student assessment exemption requests, and we'll also meet per Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This has to do with consideration of wages and benefits negotiations for 2018-19 and discussion regarding coaching evaluations.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
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 Okay, let's take about a 5-minute recess and we'll reconvene in closed session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim?
There's two, I think it's three.
Tim?